Hello. Alex here. I have a cold and seriously cannot speak to save my life. However, I still wanted to introduce the newest episode, so, please, let me Stephen Hawking this one. For this episode, Bailey and Milton from the Booze and Spirits podcast read a fic for us. It's a funny episode that deals with, wait for it, snap snap, the Addams Family, snap snap. There are about 20 unnecessary orgasms in this one, but what can you do? We are happy to finally have a spooky episode because then we can say it's for Halloween and you horror nuts may actually listen to us. Booze and Spirits is a podcast that deals with all things paranormal, supernatural, and alcoholic, so give them a listen. They do a great job and I hope you enjoy as much as I did. Thanks.
This is Suck My Fanfic.
I'm Milton.
And I'm Bailey.
And we're from the Booze and Spirits podcast.
And we're taking over this week because Ryan and Alex are recovering from being possessed by demons.
We're a paranormal podcast, and actually they asked us to host an episode this week while they're on hiatus.
Yes, so that is what we're going to be doing. I am the host of, one of the hosts of Booze and Spirits. The other host is out traveling the world. And Milton is our wonderful tech guy. So he's going to be reading our fanfic.
Yeah, I'm usually not the host. So if you hate my voice, you probably won't have to hear it too much.
Yeah, so he's going to be reading. I'm going to be the entertainer because, I'm the host. So
she's the talent, quote unquote.
Yes. So are you ready to jump into this fanfic?
Yeah.
I'm excited to hear what you have for us.
Do you want to know what it is or do you want to guess?
Let me guess. Okay. So I told him because of course he's reading it, so he picked out the fanfic, and I just told him to keep it in like the paranormal range. So Beetlejuice,
no.
Ghost Avengers,
no.
We should write a Ghost Avengers fanfic.
That would be a good one.
Aaron just going to the basement all the time. But, Addams Family?
Yeah, there you go.
Ding, ding, ding. I'm a winner, baby.
So this is a fan fiction of the Addams Family. It's pretty cool, actually.
Wait, well, who is it?
What?
Who is it about?
The Addams Family? Oh my god, I can't believe we did that. I guess it's kind of required.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's actually a pretty cool fan fiction. It has a lot of twists in it, a lot of suspense.
Dun,
so
dun, dun.
Hopefully you guys enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed reading it.
I can't wait to hear it.
All right. So the title of the fiction is Morticia's Worst Fear.
Ooh.
And it's written by J. Yvonne 13 on fanfiction.net. Published in 2018, so not pretty recent.
Dang.
All right.
Go, J. Yvonne. Take us on a wild ride.
All right, you ready to jump in?
Yes.
All right, cool.
Both feet.
All right. Morticia's Worst Fear. Morticia stepped out of her scalding hot shower one morning. There was so much steam in the room that the mirror was completely fogged.
Ooh la la.
After wiping it off with the towel, the woman that looked back at her had long, soaking wet, black hair that cascaded over her damp porcelain skin. She grabbed another towel and dried her body and her hair, and then wrapped the towel around herself before exiting the bathroom. Once she stepped into her dark bedroom, a smile touched her face at the sight of her snoring lump on the bed. She walked over and pulled back the covers to find her husband fast asleep, and she giggled a bit.
I know that feeling.
Yeah.
A lump snoring in the bed.
Yeah, I try not to snore, okay? I can't help it. To find her husband fast asleep, and she giggled a bit. She and Gomez had a lot in common, but one thing that was different between them was that Gomez was a very heavy sleeper. She sat down on the bed next to him and ran her fingers through his hair thoughtfully. He must have been very tired, despite how hard Gomez slept. So we have a cat named Gizmo, and I keep wanting to insert his name into this.
It's not Gomez Adams anymore. It's
Gizmo Adams. That's actually kind of a cool name.
Let's name our child then.
I don't know about child, but like if we gave Gizmo an official last name.
Okay. Gizmo Adams.
Gizmo Adams.
Okay.
The adopted son. He must have been very tired despite how hard Gomez slept. He didn't usually sleep this late. The fun they'd had that night, which included their favorite whips and chains, must have tired them out.
Rihanna, where you at?
Yeah, I would think so. Yeah. A few minutes later, he started to stir and he slowly opened his eyes. Good morning, monsieur, Morticia said. Despite still being half asleep, he of course reacted to her French. Tish, he said sleepily as he sat up. As he kissed her fingers up her arm, he may as well have already been still asleep, and Morticia couldn't help but laugh until she was cut off by his lips on hers.
Can I just say how I appreciate how loving they always are?
Yeah, it's goals that they love each other so much, and I'm assuming they've been together for a very long time.
Yeah.
Her French worked magic on him, but the way he kissed her never failed to send her body reeling. Sure enough, she wrapped her arms around his neck and melted into his arms, but a few seconds later, they pulled away. Good morning, he finally said. You must have been tired. He smirked. Well, giving you 10 orgasms in one night takes a lot of energy.
Okay, no big deal. Just 10.
Just 10. I mean, that's pretty beast, though. Especially if it's like no break.
No, that's a fucking lot.
Like just marathon.
I don't understand. That's all. Like you need like an energy bar, a Gatorade, a Red Bull.
You need a halftime show.
Yes.
You need like just everything.
All of it.
Ice pack, IV.
Oh, I bet they have those people with the IVs come out to the house the next day.
I doubt it. I doubt they stay that long. Okay. She laughed again. You're very good at it. You're good too, Tish, he said as he placed a kiss on her nose, her cheek, her neck. You smell good. I just took a shower. You didn't wait for me? He said with a pout. I didn't want to wake you up, she said with a shrug. Thoughtful. I know, so very thoughtful. You look so peaceful. Were you dreaming about death and destruction?
Yes.
All I remember is you and I were a Jack the Ripper type of murder team, and we terrorized England, blew up some trains, and had a lot of sex.
Okay, no big deal.
That's pretty fucking cool. That sounded super appealing. No wonder you slept so late. On the cool, I would have slept late too. Yeah.
I always hate when I wake up from a good dream and I can't get back to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or you're in like this kind of like dream where it's like it's super tantalizing. You want to know how it ends, but then you wake up right before the end of the dream.
Oh, that does that.
That happens to me like all the time.
I always dream to completion.
Oh, okay, cool. No sexual innuendo there. He ran
Sometimes 10 dreams in
He ran his fingers across her cheek and looked into her eyes. Any dream about you is perfect, Tish. Although waking up is amazing too because I get to be with you.
Aww.
He placed a passionate kiss on her lips. And kiss you.
Ooh, morning breath. Yum. My favorite.
She kissed him again. I love you, Gomez. I love you too, Tish, he said against her lips. They kissed again and again, becoming more passionate with each kiss. A few moments later, she found herself going down until she was laying on her back. He was on top of her, and the two of them were getting more turned on by the second. Their tongues danced in their mouths as their body heat started to rise and moans filled the room. She kept out a gasp as his fingers slipped into her. Gomez.
Oh, what was that?
Look, I have to add inflection. Gotta make these characters come alive. Okay?
I think the listeners need to hear that one more time.
Gomez.
Oh man.
Oh man. Going
That's
down
funny.
to the core. He smirked at the look on her face and removed the black towel that she still wore. Her body was now exposed to him, and she loved the way that he looked at her. The desire and adoration he held for her was always evident on his face, and she loved it. She moaned his name again as he continued to finger her and kissed down her neck to her breast. Hot nerves coursed through her body, and her vagina was pulsing with the need for more than his fingers at this point.
I don't know how I feel about this.
Oh, it gets better.
I don't like the term fingering.
I feel like that.
Finger blasting?
Finger blasting. I think that's better.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So he finger blasted her pulsing pussy.
However, she didn't need to say what she wanted. It was clear.
Just another 10 orgasms.
It was clear that he was overcome with desire for her as well.
No shit.
Yeah. She getting finger blasted. Anyway. He took his fingers out of her. Oh, dang. That was short. And before she could think of anything else.
Were you there?
I mean, it's just, time and space complexity is unknown in these stories,
Yeah.
And before she could think of anything else, he was inside of her. She threw her head back and let out a loud moan at the explosion of warmth that consumed her, and he proceeded to give it to her hard. Now, see, I had a problem with that sentence because it went from like kind of erotica, almost like sensual, it was kind of, in a sense,
he was
beautiful.
Finger blasting her pulsating pussy.
Before we defiled it with finger blasting and stuff, but it was actually like sensual, kind of beautiful in the way. And then there was he fucked her hard, just went from super sensual.
Well, at least
erotica.
they didn't say he raw dogged her.
That's true.
It could have been worse.
It could have been worse, but
it just turned into bro porn.
Right. I just felt like it went from erotica to Bang Bros.
You gotta get the point across.
After making love, Morticia went downstairs to check on the rest of their family, while Gomez remained in their bedroom to get dressed. Her body was still pulsing from the incredible sex they'd just had. She almost had a hard time walking.
I'm sure.
I wonder if there was 10 orgasms again.
So 20
that'd be
total
boss.
in the last 12 hours, let's assume.
That'd be boss.
Whatever.
I give props. I ain't gonna be all it could be weird.
I think at some point you're just I'd like to walk today. I've got shit to do. I've got stuff on a to-do list.
Right. Are you almost done? Where was I?
I know, I'm distracted.
No, you're fine. Her husband never failed to make her feel good and show her in every way and show her in every way that he could how much he really loved her. Her thoughts about her husband were interrupted when she passed by the living room, and puberty started running to her, crying.
Okay, hold on. Time out.
Yes.
So for some listeners, because I only watched a TV show, I'm not the movies were good, but to a point, they're okay. Pubert's the youngest son that was born in the movies.
Right.
Okay. Just making sure everybody's clear.
Yeah. And Wednesday and Pugsley.
Of course, everybody knows Wednesday and Pugsley.
They show up. Yeah.
If you don't know Wednesday and Pugsley, get the fuck out. I'm just kidding. Check my fanfic appreciates all the listeners.
We're educating the public.
Yeah.
With fictional fictions.
Fictional fictions.
Pubert started running to her, crying, "Mommy, Mommy." She picked up the 3-year-old, full of concern.
Poor puberty.
"What's wrong, dear?" She looked at Wednesday sitting on the couch with a book, and Pugsley sitting on the floor with his lizard, Fang. "What's wrong with your brother?" Pugsley didn't look up and just shrugged, but Wednesday pointed at him. "Ask him." Morticia narrowed her eyes. "Pugsley, what did you do?" "Fang ate my Dracula," Pubert cried. He had been given a Dracula toy a few weeks ago, and it was his favorite thing in the world. Pugsley let Fang eat it, Wednesday said, clearly reveling in the idea of getting Pugsley in trouble. Morticia sighed. Pugsley, did Fang swallow it? I don't know. Probably. You need to get it back now, she said
Not the only thing that got swallowed that day.
Whoa. We're going there. Pugsley pried open Fang's mouth and pulled out the Dracula. Morticia put Pubert down and Pugsley handed it to him. Her youngest child seemed to be content now.
I just want to know. Sorry, I'm still stuck on this, multiple, 10 plus orgasms. Because who has 3 fucking kids? Especially one that's a 3-year-old that has time to have that many orgasms.
I don't know. I think that's what that's what makes Gomez so cool.
I feel like that's what makes this a fanfic.
Because even I would believe that. I mean, you popped out 3 kids and they're pretty close together. And
Pubert's 3. Yeah. And the other ones are 10 and 13, something like that, 11 and 13. I don't know many moms that have the time for that shit.
I'm just saying, if you popping out 3 kids, you had time. I'm just saying,
Yeah. At one point you had time.
Yeah, exactly. However, Morticia was still looking at Pugsley with her arms crossed. What? Pugsley said, wondering why he was still in trouble. Apologize.
Ugh.
Oh, he turned to his brother. Sorry. Hubert stuck his tongue out at him and proceeded to shove a knife into Dracula's forehead. Morticia wanted to scold her son more, but she decided to let it be over. Have you had breakfast? Lurch is making waffles, Wednesday said. Just as she said it, just as she said it, Lurch entered the room. Breakfast.
I love Lurch. Lurch is my favorite. Lurch and Thing are my favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Lurch, Morticia said. Woohoo! They looked out of the living room door and found Gomez sliding down the banister and landing in front of them. See, that's why they have time, because Gomez over here sliding down banisters and
saving
shit.
time.
Like he's
not walking
fucking
down the stairs. What is he saving, 20 seconds?
Yeah, sliding down banisters and got your kids all yeah, let's do that shit too. I want to do it, Pugsley said.
Same.
Me too, Peter said, seeming to forget that he was bad at Pugsley. You want to slide down a banister?
Fuck yes. Is that even a question? Don't you?
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Okay.
And see, the one time I did it, though, I fell down the stairs. So never again. Breakfast first, Morticia said. Soon after Gomez and the kids were preparing to leave, as the kids were putting on their shoes, Gomez sat next to Morticia, who was on the couch knitting. Are you sure you don't want to come, Tish? She smiled and ran her fingers across his cheek affectionately. I'd love to go, but I need to take my painting to the gallery. He placed a kiss on her hand. It's the best painting you've ever done. Thank you, darling.
I feel like he tells her that to every painting.
Yeah. The kids entered the room. Ready to go, Dad? Wednesday asked. You bet, Gomez replied. Pubert went over to Morticia, and she picked him up to give him a hug and kiss. He was the closest thing she had to a baby now, and she tended to dote on him.
Not for long, shit.
But Wednesday...
They'll have another baby.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. There's so many questions. But Wednesday and
favorite.
But Wednesday and Pugsley were also her joy and happiness.
Yeah, because Wednesday's her favorite.
She loved each of her children so much, and just looking at them filled her heart with happiness. She loved her children equally.
That's not what it said. It said so much.
She loved each of her children.
But it didn't say equally.
So much.
Because Wednesday's definitely her favorite.
Have fun at the murder museum, Morticia replied. Yeah. Been to that. I heard they have a new exhibit on torture methods, Pugsley said excitedly. Take some pictures for me, Morticia said. She gave Pubert another kiss, then put him down, then stood up to hug and kiss Wednesday and Pugsley. Then she turned to her husband. The two locked eyes, and it was like a magnet drawing them together before
Let's go have a quickie real quick. Just 5 orgasms this time.
Just 5.
Just 5.
Real quick. Drawing them together before they wrap their arms around each other for sweet, passionate kisses. I love you so much, Cara Mia.
Somebody in
So, yeah, I did not take Italian nor French.
Oh,
so
is that French?
Excuse my French.
Fuck.
That was a bad pun. Anyway,
Yeah,
said as he placed his forehead on hers. The love that she felt for him could never be put quite into words, but it would have to do. I love you too. They gave each other one last kiss before they parted. She walked her family to the door and waved goodbye as they got into the car and drove off.
Au revoir.
After going to the art gallery, Morticia went home and spent some time to herself. Gomez and the kids were still out. Fester was out of town for the week. Lurch was grocery shopping. And Mama was out to lunch with Morticia's mother. So she settled herself with some sketching and watching American Horror Story on TV in the living room.
Better be Coven.
Yeah. The show cut to commercial and the news report.
FX. Sorry. That's what channel
that's good to know. I know. For those that
Wednesday
didn't know.
nights.
Yeah. What, the new season is good, right?
Yeah, so far.
I haven't watched it.
Only a couple episodes in.
You watch stuff without me. Horrible car accident on Interstate 95, the newscaster said. The fatal accident involved a truck driver and a black Mercedes. Morticia looked up at the mention of the black Mercedes.
Can it be?
We'll find out. Gomez had taken the Mercedes out that day. Her heart was beating fast with panic, but she forced herself to calm down. Lots of people own black Mercedes. It didn't mean anything.
Yeah, like I do. In my head. In my dreams.
There you go. I'm about to say, I know you don't.
I know you own a sensible car that you can afford.
Police are currently on the scene. They will not release names of those who were killed, but the truck driver and a man and 3 children were killed in the accident.
I appreciate your newscaster voice.
Thank you. I'm doing my best here. What? Morticia exclaimed, dropping everything in her hands. Now she was panicked.
I just imagine, that meme where she's cutting the roses off, and so it's just the stems. I just imagine her dropping, a vase full of, stems.
Yeah. The accident took place on the road. They would have had to take home. The accident took place on the road. They would have had to take home, but she told herself it still didn't mean anything.
It doesn't. But could it be?
She picked up the phone and dialed Gomez's number and with shaking hands. Come on, Gomez, answer, she said, growing more worried with each ring. It went to voicemail. She dropped the phone, then collapsed on the floor into a scream of anguish.
Ah!
Thank you. This could not be happening. Her husband, her sweet children, killed in a tragic accident. Her family was her life, her entire heart, what she lived for every single day. They couldn't be gone just like that. After a moment, she stood up and began pacing the room. It couldn't be true. It just couldn't. The police had to be wrong, or they were talking about someone else. An idea occurred to her. She picked up the phone again and called Fester.
And a light bulb lights up in his mouth when his phone goes off.
Hello? Fester, it's me. She sounded on the verge of another breakdown. Hey, Morticia, what's up? Have you heard from Gomez lately? No, why? She resisted the urge to cry again. He took the kids to the murder museum and I saw a report on the news that there was a terrible accident. And I want to make sure they're okay. I'll try to give him a call. Don't worry, Morticia. Thanks. The few minutes that she waited for Fester to call her back were the longest few minutes she'd ever had to endure. The entire time she sat on the couch with her face in her hands, sobbing at the mere thought that her family was dead. She tried to tell herself that she was wrong, but the more time went on, she wasn't so sure. Finally, the phone rang. It was Fester. Did you call him? She asked desperately. I couldn't get through to him, Fester said. Morticia sat back down slowly and let out a small sob as the gravity of what Fester was saying hit her.
They're dead. They're all dead.
Morticia, they're fine. I'm sure there's a reason why Gomez isn't picking up the phone. Try calling them back in a few minutes and see if they answer. Okay, she said, hardly above a whisper. Let me know what happens. Okay. Bye. As soon as Fester hung up, she tried calling Gomez and got nothing. She texted him and didn't hear from him. The TV was repeating the report and showing air footage of a completely wrecked car and an overturned truck surrounded by ambulances. The Mercedes looked an awful lot like theirs. But see, I'm confused by that because I'm sure the Mercedes beat the shit.
Right.
And a black Mercedes beat the shit is going to look like another black Mercedes beat the shit. So you can't be sure. So Morticia jumping to some conclusions.
I mean, I feel like she's rightful to jump to these conclusions.
I mean, yeah, but like, just to be like, oh, hey, I have a white car and I took if you had a white car, I took your car and then you saw on the news there was an accident involving a white car. Well, you're going to be like, oh shit, Milton's dead. Well,
did it say like a man dead?
It said a man and 3 children.
No, I'm saying like in this scenario, like if it was like,
in this scenario that I'm describing.
Yeah.
Okay. Sure.
Black man found dead on 121. I'd be in my make and model of car. I'd be like, oh yeah, that's my husband. He's dead. Better go cash in that life policy. Life insurance policy.
He gone.
Good thing I got another one lined up. Just kidding.
Okay.
So did they die?
You'll find out. She tried one more thing and called the police. How can I help you? There's been an accident on I-95. Can you tell me who was killed? They haven't been identified yet. Are you sure? I think my husband and my kids, I need to be sure that it's not them. What are their names? Gomez, Pugsley, Wednesday, and Pubert Adams. Give me your phone number and I will let you know as soon as we find out. Thank you. After hanging up, Morticia didn't feel any better at all. In fact, it seemed to be even more confirmation that her family had been cruelly ripped away from her.
Yeah, that wasn't a lot of help.
Yeah, it wasn't. And she didn't know what to do. At any moment, she expected to get a call that they were all dead, and she was terrified. For the next several hours, she cried her heart out for her beloved husband and children. The thought of never seeing her babies again was unbearable. All she had ever wanted in life, from when she was a child, was to have children of her own. Having Pugsley with his mischievous but incredibly intelligent and daring self was a dream come true. Wednesday, who followed shortly after, gave her the daughter she always wanted. The girl was her mini-me through and through, and the two were extremely close. And Pubert, her sweet baby, the apple of her eye, had captured her heart from the moment he was born. And her husband, her soulmate, the love of her life, the man she swore she would spend her entire life with, was gone, just like that. Never had she felt so cared for and needed and loved before she met him. The two of them had been through everything together, and the idea of never being with him again was unacceptable. Missing out on the 10 orgasms.
Yeah, for real.
The thought of never waking up next to him, feeling his soft kisses, dancing with him, making love to him, and hearing him call her Quera ever again left her screaming with sadness. She couldn't go on like this. One thing was for sure. Her family was her entire reason for life, and she couldn't live without them. If they had to be taken from her so tragically, she would no doubt join them. So she went upstairs until she was on the roof, overlooking their graveyard and the forest in the back of their house. Her heart pounded, but she thought of the dead bodies of her husband and her beautiful children in that car, and her heart wrenched. Had they felt any pain? Had they been afraid? Maybe now she'll be able to ask them. "What are you doing?" She turned around and saw Mama standing behind her. "Mama," tears spilled out of her again. She couldn't bring herself to say that her family was dead. Instead, she went over
They're dead. They're all dead.
Instead, she went over to her mother-in-law, collapsed into her arms, and cried. "Morticia, what's wrong? What happened?" "They're dead, Mama."
They're all dead.
"Who's dead, dear?" "Gomez and the kids." Mama held her arms out. Held her at arm's length and looked at her seriously. "What? How?" Morticia told her everything about what she had seen on the news and how she couldn't reach them and what the police officers had said. Mama looked shocked. "Oh my, but you don't know for sure it's them." "How would it not be them?" "Well, didn't they tell you for sure it was them? And you can't go launching yourself off the roof until you're sure."
Yeah, all Romeo and Juliet style.
Yeah, very much so.
Hate Romeo and Juliet.
Come back inside, dear. Yeah, that was, like I said, she jumped into conclusions not to jump off of this roof.
I mean, I do that shit.
Morticia reluctantly followed her inside and sat back down on the couch while Mama brought her some tea. Then went through the same process Morticia had of calling Gomez, who still didn't answer, Fester, who was also starting to get worried, and the police, who had no new information, because of course. Afterwards, Mama sat on the couch with Morticia, who sobbed into her shoulder.
"They're dead. They're all dead."
"They should have been home hours ago," Morticia cried. "It looks like such a terrible accident. My sweet babies. My husband."
So if they're not the ones that died in the accident, could you imagine the fucking traffic on the way home?
Yeah, that traffic is horrendous.
Ass.
I love that's the only thing you think of is the traffic, not actually who was involved in the accident.
I mean, R.I.P. to the people involved. I mean, I would have said that if this was real life, but it's a fanfic, so like.
I know, but we'll get there. We'll get there. We'll have to revisit that topic.
Because that's the first thing I think about when I hear about it.
I ain't trying to give away no spoilers. Anyway, I know, dear. I know. Tish, what's wrong? Morticia thought she was hearing things, but when she looked up, her husband was standing in the doorway, looking extremely worried.
A ghost!
She felt as though her heart would leap out of her chest. She jumped up off the couch and ran to him as fast as she could, jumped into his arms. She ran through him
because he's a ghost?
And kissed him as hard as she could. Not a ghost, because he grabbed her.
Okay.
And then she buried her face in his shoulder.
I'm just rewriting the fanfic.
And a whole new round of tears followed.
"You're alive! You're all alive!"
Gomez looked back and forth from her to Mama, who was still sitting on the couch. "Cara Mia, what's going on?" Wednesday appeared next to them. "Mom, why are you crying?" I thought you all were dead," Morticia managed to say through her tears. "Why?" Pugsley asked. Gomez led her over to the couch and they sat down together. She gave him another kiss and he wiped her tears. Pubert appeared at her feet and she picked him up.
Puberty appeared at her feet.
And held him close to her. She felt so relieved. It was as though a massive weight had been lifted off her shoulders. Gomez was by her side with his arms around her, looking at her as lovely as he always did. And her children were here with smiles and reassurance for her. As long as she had all of them, she knew everything was going to be okay.
Aw, what a wholesome ending.
Very much so.
After starting out with the Bang Bros.
With the Bang Bros, with the finger blast and...
Finger blast and the pulsating pussy.
her heat.
That's a callback from last week. Well, from...
what, last episode? I don't know.
Yeah, it was Suck My Fanfic with definitely inappropriate. They did an amazing episode with Harry Styles. So, what did you think about the fanfic?
I liked the fan fiction a lot.
Okay, I have a problem with it.
What's the problem?
That they would include Pubert and not include Thing.
A Thing doesn't have a mouth. What's Thing gonna do? Just like
run around, like console.
Just
tap her shoulder and console her. Shit, I don't know.
I mean, okay,
I'm not a big Pubert fan.
I feel like Thing though just doesn't add anything.
I'm just saying, I think we should stick to the original family.
So
you know, I don't like change. I'm not a change kind of person.
This is true, but I want to get back to the car though, because obviously someone died.
Yeah,
people died
in the fanfic, not really
in the fan fiction. People died. I want to know who these people are.
Does it bug you not knowing?
I have a theory.
It's the Munsters.
Yes. But okay, is there three? Because the Munsters and the Addams Family, the originals of both.
The Munsters is Frankenstein or whatever his name is.
Yeah.
And then the mom.
Yeah.
And then the niece.
There's the niece, and then there's like the Doogie Howser looking boy that's like wearing all black.
Boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot his name. His name is not Doogie.
I know it was.
And then there's Grandpa.
Okay. So I guess
maybe they mistook Grandpa for a little kid.
A child.
Yeah. But yeah, I think we should write a Addams Family versus Munsters. Like they like kickboxers.
Like fight to the death, some like Mortal Kombat type shit.
Or they create potions, or they become friends.
Some espionage.
Yeah.
So you want a friendly story? I want
not. Or BDSM story. Anyways.
Oh God. That's weird.
Like that's how the story started. Anyways.
Like a Munsters Addams Family
fanfic. No, God, no.
Yeah, that'd be weird.
No, that's not where we're going. Anyways, my idea was Addams Family Munsters fanfic. You and I write it. Then we send it to Ryan and Alex, and they read it. Boom.
Boom. I promise it won't be a gangbang.
It will not be a gangbang.
I promise.
I don't even know how to write about a gangbang.
We'll
they
find
will
out.
not pixelated bukkake.
Oh, Cards Against Humanity.
So you like it?
Yeah, no, I enjoyed the story a lot because I was not expecting it to be like just, the Addams Family are dead. Psych, they're actually alive.
Well, they're like, whoever would kill them off would be a fucking monster.
Yeah. Plus, I wouldn't have thought that Morticia's greatest fear would be losing her family. That's actually a very wholesome thing to think of.
For sure, because Morticia loves her family.
Yeah, but I mean, I would think that it'd be like an actual fear.
Oh.
You know?
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. Like, Morticia lives and breathes for her family.
Like, I don't know, like she'd have like some weird phobia, like the phobia of 13.
Of like what, rainbows?
Yeah. Yeah, actually that works. Because, they're like dark and eclectic and
I get that. I understand. That's why I said rainbows.
Yeah, that actually works. See, there we go.
I know I could write this fanfic.
We got ideas. We're on the roll.
All right. Well, stay tuned.
Yeah, stay tuned. We'll be reading our stories.
So we should probably go check on Ryan and Alex, see how they're feeling after their their demon possession.
Yeah, I think so.
So we hope you enjoyed it. The Addams Family. You should just let me do it.
You gotta give me a signal.
Nope. We are Booze and Spirits. Check us out on Instagram and Twitter at Booze and Spirits or Facebook at Booze and Spirits Podcast. Go listen to some of our shows after you listen to this.
So yeah, that's our fanfic. Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Bye.